Well, a lot of questions have been asked over the years about Moroka Swallows, and we tried to answer a few of those questions, which opened up even more. Now, this is what you can look forward to in this week's episode of Kaya Sport TV. Plus, Sandile van Heerden plays golf with a group of kids, and it's transformation talk yet again. Who owns Moroka Swallows? That is the big question. And this week at Kaya Sport, we were joined in studio by Charles Makhubo, who is the leader of the minority shareholders. Now, they own 16% of the club, and they're also looking to find out just exactly who owns the majority shares. Take a look.
Let's start with a simple question. Who owns Moroka Swallows?
Well, Moroka Swallows is owned by shareholders. We have a group of shareholders who actually, collectively own 16% of the club, and the other 84%, was actually owned by Mr. David Chabedi, who actually passed away. Mr. Chabedi, in a way, allowed Greg Duleng to get involved with the team, and during that season, in 1999, apparently what happened is, this is actually what I got from Mr. Chabedi after we started having problems with these guys, was that apparently they were now demanding, their money back, claiming that they've been helping the club, and they wanted actually to liquidate the club at the time. Now, Mr. Chabedi made one mistake, which I think it's becoming a pattern at Moroka Swallows. He never came back to the shareholders, because if, for whatever reason, Mr. Chabedi had an arrangement with Greg Duleng and Neil Benson, whoever, this was supposed to be rectified by the shareholders. This never happened. Now, when these guys started claiming wanting their money back, which we don't know how much they actually spent, because I asked him as to how much they actually spent, he said to me they are claiming that they've spent something like 1.5 million or 2 million at the time. And because he didn't have the money, they were threatening to actually liquidate the club. Now, for him, to try and save that situation, he actually then they entered into an arrangement that he was going to cede about 42%, which was half of what he was owning, to them, to actually settle the debt. Now, that was wrong. I mean, in a company, if a director or a shareholder, does, an arrangement of that sort, what it means that the club now, it means the club was actually owing Greg Duleng or Neil Benson, not him as, the majority shareholder.
Individual.
Is an individual. Now, he made a mistake. He didn't actually come back to us and say, people, this is what has been happening. And now we owe this person. And this person is claiming ABC. So what do we do?
Okay, so at that point, this happens, and there is that ceding of the 42%.
That is correct.
At which point does Leon Prince get involved, and on whose behalf did he get involved? Because our understanding is that he didn't own any shares in Moroka Swallows.
Yes, that is correct. It's a long story, but I'm going to try and cut it short. Leon Prince came as a driver. He was actually a driver for Neil Benstein. He was just an ordinary person, he was eating, half brown and the Fanta, but I think he took an advantage of the situation, because he was actually, interacting between Greg Duleng and Neil Benstein together with Mr. Chabedi. And then what happened is now Neil Benstein had a partner, Dieterborg in Cape Town. They were actually involved in whatever dealings that they were doing. Now, the pretext was that Neil Benson had promised Dieterborg that he was going to pay him back his money. He was actually getting a loan from Dieterborg to do other business ventures, not about Moroka Swallows. But then it emerged that he couldn't actually pay this debt, to Dieterborg. Now, what happened thereafter, which we find out, was that Dieterborg then actually called his loan, and Neil Benson couldn't pay. Then Neil Benson, in a way, transferred his shares to Dieterborg. Dieterborg never actually bought the first 32%. Okay. Now, what happened, which was also wrong, according to articles, as a company, if you want to sell your shares, you've got to give the first preference to the existing shareholders.
Yeah.
Yes, and even that arrangement, we're supposed to be involved in a way to say, this is what is happening, I owe this person and blah, blah, blah. Now I want to actually transfer the shares because I cannot pay this person. Would have done something even then. Yeah. Now, I actually even wrote a letter, demanding, that this deal must actually be reversed and everything, and I spoke to Mr. Chabedi at the time. Now Mr. Chabedi now had this 42% left now with him. Mm-hmm. The other one was actually ceded to Neil Benston. And in a way...
And Neil Benston, I'm just trying to stay with the story. Neil Benston then signed his off to Dieter Bock.
Yes. Okay. Then there was a company which was formed now, which now controlled 42% at Moroka Swallows, which was owned by Mr. David Chabedi, and the other 42% was owned by Neil Benston, which in turn... when Dieter Bock took the other 42%, that company was then closed down.
What company is this?
It was called Benson Chabedi Holdings.
Okay.
Yeah, but that company didn't actually own Moroka Swallows. It had interest in Moroka Swallows. It has shares because people actually.
Which is that 42%?
Which is the 42 and 42.
And 42, the 84.
So
yes.
84 together.
Yes, together. Now, I want to make this clear. Moroka Swallows, nobody can own Moroka Swallows unless you own 100% of the club. You can only own shares. I can only sell my own shares. I cannot say tomorrow I'm selling Swallows. You can only, even you own 99%, you don't own Moroka Swallows. You own, majority shareholding at Moroka Swallows. So that's what actually happened. Then Dieter Bock didn't have an interest in football or anything. So in a way, Mr. Chabedi, because of the situation which was now erupting at Moroka Swallows, and the supporters were fighting now because they wanted change and everything, and he felt that he had actually had enough. Now, in a way, then he sold his 42% to Dieter Bock. Mm-hmm. Now, even then, I actually challenged that because, we only learned about that months after that he has now sold the remaining 42%. Now, in a way, he actually understood the mistake that he did, and we tried to actually rectify the situation. Mm-hmm. Now, then Leon Prince was now involved
as the CEO.
As the CEO. Now, Leon Prince took an advantage.
Acting on Dieter Bock's behalf.
No. He was still with Neil Benston now. Okay. Now, Leon Prince cleverly, because he knew what was happening between Dieter Bock and Neil Benston, he went to Dieter Bock. He said, listen, this guy is not actually putting the money where he's supposed to be putting. He's actually putting it in a football club. Then that is when Dieter Bock took this 42%. And in return for Leon Prince's loyalty, he then appointed him as the CEO of Moroka Swallows. Uh-huh. That's actually what happened. That's how Leon Prince then got involved.
Well, things have gotten so serious over at Moroka Swallows that the Premier Soccer League has also gotten involved. The chairman, Dr. Ivan Khoza, is trying to sort out the situation. Of course, we wish them luck in finding that majority shareholder. Now then, the Springboks went off to the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup. They came back third, and the Minister of Sports and Recreation, Fikile Mbalula, has opened up transformation talks yet again. He says by the next World Cup, the Boks need to be fully transformed.
Minister of Sport and Recreation Fikile Mbalula has come under fire in recent weeks for his failure to act decisively on transforming rugby at the highest level in South Africa. Although the ministry commissioned a group of prominent South African sports thinkers known as the Eminent Persons Group to assess the state of transformation in South African sport, its assertion that national sports teams should reflect the demographics of the country has been criticized as vague. In particular, the feeling is that rugby, especially the Springboks, are lagging behind other codes when it comes to representativity in the senior national men's team. And when asked why he's been so lenient on Saru and the Boks, Mbalula hit back at his critics at a recent rugby transformation media briefing.
Kid clubs. There are no kid clubs. I don't understand. How do you understand the question of kid clubs? There are no kid clubs. I said on the 18th of May, when we signed an agreement that the Springbok national team going to the World Cup will not have been able to achieve the targets that we're signing here today. I said it here. So how do I now, because of the World Cup, change the story and behave like a maverick? Because the people are fighting. No, I'm changing like a chameleon. No, we don't go with the mood and the populist views. We go with the principle.
Mbalula added that he's not responsible for hiring the coaches that select the team, so why should he have to take the blame?
If you want to misconstrue the support for the coach at the World Cup to meaning that we want the coach to remain, it will be wrong because that's not our call. It is the call of Saru. There's no ANC that said Henneke Meyer must remain as the coach. Neither did I as the minister say so. I've never said that.
The minister ended the conference by assuring the public that by the next time the next Rugby World Cup rolls around in 2019, the Springboks will be fully transformed.
We can do a lot, and with what we have, and ensure that we are able to achieve, not maximum. That is why our policy doesn't say 60-40. Remember before I raised the issue of 60-40, but we came back and reviewed that, because we can't expect 60-40 in the system in which it is not perfect. All what we want is to level the playing field.
But what does that mean, fully transformed? 10 black box in the 28-man World Cup squad, 15, 20? And why didn't any SARU officials attend the transformation briefing? All good questions that will hopefully be answered before we send another Springbok team to the next Rugby World Cup, a team that should represent all South Africans. Musibudi Whitehead, Kaya Sport TV.
Well, we actually hope that this time around, all this transformation talk will yield real results. Now then, Sandile van Heerden was out at the Observatory Country Club playing golf with a group of kids.
It's just another Saturday morning in the northeastern suburbs of Joburg, but here in the middle of Observatory, a golf coach from Soweto is doing his bit to develop young golf talent who might not have had the chance to play the sport otherwise.
I'm the founder of the foundation, the DIJ Foundation, which stands for Developing International Golf. We have created this foundation to give the kids an opportunity to play golf, more especially the kids from the disadvantaged background that never had a chance to play golf. So that is the purpose of the foundation, more importantly, and also looking at the life skills on these kids. Now the kids are coming from different areas. We are trying to reach the areas that the kids never thought they could have a chance. They never even seen golf, maybe on TV. We're reaching out to those kids, and we have a transport that takes those kids from those areas to here. I live in Soweto myself, so we take the kids from Soweto and we bring them up here, Sandile, to the place they never thought they could be in. So we're teaching them how to play golf, to have a chance in a sport they can play professionally, and also to be better individuals within the communities.
Songezo Sonamzi, also known as Coach Songs, is the first PGA qualified professional in South Africa. After spending 10 years in America, Songs was offered the opportunity to stay overseas and help develop the game in the USA, but he chose to return home and share his wealth of knowledge with the youth of South Africa.
I got into golf when I first started in 2007 with Coach Songs at the Royal Johannesburg. And I like that in golf you have to know what you have to do, and you have to be competitive and in the zone at times.
The children have different goals. Some dream of being professional one day, while others are just looking to get away from their daily life struggles.
I wanted to play like a different sport, like move out of the netball side and like come to a new sport, to come like explore new sports and stuff.
Songs and his staff need all the help they can get, and if you would like to find out more about the DIG Foundation, get hold of Songs below. Sandile van Heerden, Kaya Sport TV.
Well, that is all we have for you in this week's episode of Kaya Sport TV. Next week, we are talking Orlando Pirates and the CAF Confederations Cup finals. They're taking on Etoile du Sahel, and we will be chatting to them ahead of their match. Until then, goodbye.